Nigeria, 1967. A nation fracturing as it seems, a civil war, brutal, bloody, consuming, had begun to devour its own children. In the middle of that inferno, a young Igbo academic was approached with an impossible task. General Yakubu Gowon asked his ally, Olusegun Obasanjo, to find him somebody brave enough to serve as administrator in the East Central State, an Igbo man willing to stand for one Nigeria while his own people were dying. Gowon himself warned the young man plainly, "This is a task I will not advise you to take if you are my brother." But the young man did not flinch. His name was Anthony Ukpabi Asika. To many of his own people, Asika became a villain, a saboteur, a man who chose the federal side while Biafran children starved to death in millions. To others, he was a patriot, a man who believed, perhaps more than anyone, that Nigeria was worth saving. History has never fully settled that argument.
These moral issues are probably summarized by the concept of genocide. I think I'm in a position to say, not only as one who has been living in Nigeria continuously now, through the many months of this tragedy, not only as a social scientist concerned much more than other people with following these events and developments, but also as one who in the past 9 months has had some public responsibility for overseeing the welfare of Igbos. That there is no genocide afoot, there hasn't been any genocide afoot. The claims that have been made by my friends, and they are my friends on the other side, about the intentions and the actions of the federal government have, I think, been clearly demonstrated to be propaganda. I would, for example, indicate that as early ago as February, in the area of Nsukka, through the effort of myself and some of my staff, we had succeeded in building up a fairly stable population of 80,000 Igbos who had returned. Unhappily for us, this fact was given some publicity by the International Red Cross, among others. And a week later, my friends on the other side sent in a weak platoon, a weak battalion, not enough to do any military harm, but enough to scare the people back into the forests. It is this type of irresponsibility which we cannot guarantee in the event of an unconditional ceasefire that we are anxious to preclude. I think I can appeal to you, and especially those who view themselves as friends of Igbos, that in the interest of Igbos and in the interest of humanity in Nigeria, that pressure should be brought to bear on these people, external constraint to compel them to want to negotiate. It is only then that some meaningful dialogue can emerge.
More than 50 years later, General Gowon, the man who led Nigeria through 30-month civil war, stood before the nation to present his autobiography, My Life of Duty and Allegiance. It was a moment of reckoning, of memory, of legacy. And in that room in Abuja, one face carried more history than most. Obi Asika, son of Anthony Ukpabi Asika, born at the height of the Nigerian Civil War. His father's name was spoken. His father's courage was acknowledged, but among Nigerians, not everyone is celebrating. Among the Igbos, he still remains a villain. 6 years ago, a Catholic priest, Reverend Father Angelo Chidi Unebu, asked a question that still hangs in the air like a smoke. We all saw the script that Asika was handed over to play, and he played it perfectly well. Which one is the next man required to play? Is history repeating itself? That question has never been more urgent, because the story of Ukpabi Asika is not just a story about one man's choice in wartime. It is a story about power, who wields it, who is used by it, and who pays the price. It is a story about identity, what it costs an Igbo man to serve a Nigerian state that has not always served the Igbo. And it is a story about memory and what we do when those in power choose to remember only what flatters them.
I want to remember one young man, Ukpabi Asika, a university lecturer. When I was looking for somebody that famine will now help me to look after the East, at that time. So I asked Obasanjo to please, contact some of the senior lecturers at the University of Ibadan, to find me somebody that I think is brave enough, to be able to accept to be either the governor or administrator in the East. And this is where, he did his best. I think he contacted Professor Ajayi and I think a number of others, at the University of Ibadan. And they got one young man called Ukpabi Asika. And when he came to see me, I said to him, this is a task that I will not, if you are my brother, I will advise you not to take this, this suggestion. But from all that I heard from that young man, well, he was probably about the same age. What I heard of him, I was convinced that he has the courage, he has a belief and love for Nigeria, and certainly does not want the East to break away from Nigeria. And he accepted. And I can assure you, for what he did to look after the Eastern region at that time, for what he did, I was really very touched. And for that reason, we cannot afford to do anything that is going to harm or hurt, or leave a bad impression, from the East. I understand that his son, Asika, I think, are you here? If you are here, you better stand up so that I can see you, because I haven't seen you for many years. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Yakubu Gowon has written a book. Will the millions of kids that died from Kwashoko during the Civil War be able to read the book? Will the people that were massacred in the Asaba massacre be able to read the book? Will the people who lost homes, limbs, future, possibility be able to read the book? Yes, the book is titled Duty and Allegiance to the Country. In allegiance to Nigeria, was a civil war the best way to have settled the impasse and the rivalry between two people? Should that war have ever happened in the first place? Today, as we try to say our own part of history, and Yakubu Gowon, we thank him for giving us his own part of history today. Although I've not read the book, but I've read some excerpts of it. As he tries to talk about, the internal workings of what happened. If this book, millions that died in that war, cannot read this book, then at least how can we ensure that we don't go to wars like that again? That's a food for thought this morning.
Now, those who have commented on General Gowon's book say, yes, it's anecdotal, but when you put it together, you get, a full sense of history and of his duty, his service during the 9 years that he was head of state of Nigeria. He was, for the benefit of many young men, a very young man in his 30s, 29, 37, thereabouts, when he led this country, and it was his commission to save this country from disintegration, and he stood up to be counted. So the Civil War, 1966, to 71 to 71, was a major turning point for Nigeria. In fact, many people trace many of the problems we have had in this country to that Civil War. But General Gowon and his army, they were able to hold this country together. The other side, of course, was that after the Civil War, he preached no victor, no vanquished. And he introduced a policy of reconciliation, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. But there is a lot of controversy around that, and many people have written their own versions of how the Civil War started. But I always say, repeatedly, that I don't think that the Civil War has ended. The Civil War has not ended because the reconciliation part of it is still an evolving project, and that's why you find people from the southeastern part of the country still talking about Biafra, still talking about the actualization of Biafra, because the most affected people in the Southeast, they have not forgotten. History is not about forgetting, it's about remembering. But of course, have we achieved reconciliation? We've done a lot in terms of reconstruction. Then, of course, the Southeasterners, they are also a bit disturbed about the idea of rehabilitation. That after the Civil War, the people were not properly rehabilitated. The £1 resolution, or was it £2, which generated a lot of concerns, properties lost, lives lost. I think that this country will still need a lot of healing. That's talking about, the Civil War and what Nigeria passed through during that time. But to the extent that General Yakubu Gowon held this country together with his team, and that he has remained committed, faithful to the Nigerian project, it sets a good example, an eternal example that cannot be forgotten in this country. However, it is good that General Gowon has told his own part of the story. And he has a story to tell. And it is a story that should be of interest to not just students of history and political science or military studies, but the general public.
General Yakubu Gowon has written his version. Now, we await Nigerians, especially the millions of Igbo children who died, who may never read the book, to say their own side.